Morning, everyone. We're going to get started. I apologize for my tardiness. Had some business to take care of a little earlier. We have established our quorum, so we will get started. We're going to start with our invocation, and this morning the chair recognizes the Reverend John Babowich of Our Lady of Calvary Parish. He is here today as the Councilman O'Neill. I would like to ask all members and guests to please rise.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you do for us. Bless all of our city council members. Bless them and their families. Watch over them and keep them safe as they work always for the good of our city and their constituents. They strive to do the best they can for anyone that is part of their life. Bless them and keep them safe. Bless our peace in our city. Watch over everybody today that have deliberations. Bless everyone in this council chamber, and let us pray. We stand before you, Holy Spirit, conscious of our sinfulness, but aware that we gather in your name. Come to us, remain with us, enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it and to live it in our lives. Guide us by your wisdom. Support us by your power. For you are God, sharing the glory of Father and Son. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. As we gather in your name, may we temper justice with love, so that our decision may be pleasing to you and earn the reward promised of your good and faithful servants. You live and reign with the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And may Almighty God bless all in this council chamber. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Reverend. We really appreciate you being here today to give us some spiritual guidance. Council will be at ease. Thank you very much. Thank you. And our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 28, 2023. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 28, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. It has been moved and probably second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 28, 2023 stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and our journal is approved. And our next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the members, there are two requests for leaves of absence today, one from Member Thomas and the other from Member O'Neill.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Leave shall be granted for both members. And the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to our session today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council and is required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first reading, the reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or a resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included in the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the legislative matters stated by Councilman Squilla may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of the council session. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. And our next order of business is communications, and I request that the clerk please read the messages from the mayor and any other communications that he may have in his possession.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia, I am submitting herewith for the consideration of your honorable body an ordinance authorizing the city solicitor on behalf of the city to enter into a multi-year contract with a provider of codification, editing, and marketing services to produce printed and electronic versions of the Philadelphia Code and related services and material, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. And would Mr. Decker please read the title of the bills and resolutions that are offered by our members today?
Councilman Jones offers 2 bills and 3 resolutions. An ordinance amending Chapter 12, 3000 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Use of an Automated Red Light Enforcement System to Prevent Red Light Violations by authorizing the installation of red light enforcement systems at the intersection of Belmont Avenue, Ford Road, and Overbrook Avenue. And an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 3000 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Use of an Automated Red Light Enforcement System to Prevent Red Light Violations by authorizing the installation of red light enforcement systems at the intersection of Kelly Drive and Falls Bridge.
For the committee.
And a privilege resolution honoring Science Leadership Academy at Bieber 10th grader Zoe Smith for winning the individual Women's Public League Golf Championship.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring war hero Waverly Bernard Wilson Jr. for his courageous and selfless service during World War II, and further calling on Overbrook High School to induct him into their Hall of Fame.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and commemorating the 13th Annual Indigenous Peoples Day in the city of Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Johnson offers 1 bill and 5 resolutions. Entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 12, 3000 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Use of an Automated Red Light Enforcement System to Prevent Red Light Violations by authorizing the installation of red light enforcement systems at the intersection of 17th Street and Washington Avenue.
For the committee.
And on behalf of Council President Clark, Councilman Johnson offers a privilege resolution authorizing City Council's Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities to hold public hearings to investigate the impact of SEPTA's Market Frankfurt Line painting project is having on surrounding communities and determine whether SEPTA has been responsive to community complaints during the course of this project and to explore SEPTA's commitment to contracting minority-owned businesses for its projects.
Today's calendar.
And on his own behalf, Councilman Johnson offers a privilege resolution recognizing October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Philadelphia and honoring those who have fought and continue to fight against breast cancer.
Today's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2609 through 27 Sears Street, including 1308 through 14 South 26th Street, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1324 South Bancroft Street, 1213 South Bonsall Street, 1202 and 1223 South Bucknell Street.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1811, 2114, 2123 Vernon Street, 1930 and 1932 Norwood Street, 1629, 1642, 1648, and 1652 Point Breeze Avenue.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Lozada offers 4 resolutions. A privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Dr. Daphne Owen MD, for her ability to bridge relationships for the common good and her humanitarian efforts in bringing top-notch medical service to the people, all with powerfully inspiring dream of doing better by our most vulnerable community.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Joan N. Stern, one of Philadelphia's finest public finance attorneys, concentrating her practice in the areas of general government and education, transportation and utilities, tax and revenue anticipation financing, healthcare and housing finance, refinancing and working capital finance, project finance, and derivatives transactions.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Robert Lugo for his contributions to the arts and in celebration of his exceptional achievement in securing a prestigious Heinz Awards for Arts.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution recognizing and honoring Dr. Stephen Larson, MD, for his humanitarian efforts in bringing top-notch medical service to underserved communities, bringing a dream of care and compassion into the world that moves forward with every life saved.
This week's calendar.
Councilwoman Brooks offers 2 resolutions. On behalf of Councilman Thomas, a privilege resolution honoring and congratulating the champions of the week, Akeem Staples and Brent Johnstone of Fathers Read 365 for their service and dedication to our local communities by expanding literacy and access to quality books for young people.
This week's calendar.
And on her own behalf, Councilwoman Brooks offers a privilege resolution commemorating National Coming Out Day on October 11th, 2023 in the city of Philadelphia.
Also this week's calendar.
Councilman Harity offers 2 resolutions. A privilege resolution proclaiming September 16, 2023 as Masha Amini Day in the city of Philadelphia to commemorate and recognize the 1-year anniversary of her death in custody after being detained by Iranian morality police.
This week's calendar.
And a privilege resolution and a non-privilege resolution. Non-privileged resolution authorizing a joint task force on city flag reform to re-examine and recommend a process to reform the flag of the city of Philadelphia in line with vexillological conventions and an aim to promote civic pride.
You said non-privilege. Next week's calendar.
Councilman Squilla offers a privilege resolution designating the week of Sunday, October 8 through Saturday, October 14, 2023 as an Italian-American Heritage Week in the city of Philadelphia and honoring Gaetano Guy Pigliacelli and Jerry Blabbett posthumously as the Grand Marshals of the 2023 Philadelphia Italian-American Parade.
This week's calendar.
Councilwoman Bass offers a non-privileged resolution recognizing and honoring Philadelphia's Reverend Melvin Floyd by renaming the 5200 block of Wayne Avenue Reverend Melvin Floyd Way.
And that will be on next week's calendar.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today by the members, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. We have no reports from committee today. So our next order of business is a consideration of the calendar. There being no bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar today.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following resolutions and bills are being brought up from second reading to final passage calendars today. Numbers 230656 and 230661. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Our next order of business will be our public comment session. So before considering these bills and resolutions, your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendar today. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you haven't done so, you may do so now at the table outside of the council chambers with the sergeant of arms. When your name is called, it will be called in the order from which you signed up. And when your name is called, you will go to the podium in the middle of the council chambers. There's a device on the podium. When the light on the device turns green, it will be your time to speak. When it turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. And when it turns red, we'd ask that you please adhere to our guidelines to conclude your remarks. Because of the volume today, you will be given 3 minutes to testify on today's calendar. Again, I want to thank you very much for your interest in participating in your government in action today. Thank you very much. And with that, Mr. Decker, would you call the first name on the list?
The first speaker today, Mr. President, is Tyrell Brown. Tyrell Brown.
You coming?
Commenting on 230692, a resolution introduced by Councilwoman Brooks today.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am Tyrell Brown. I'm the Executive Director of GALE, they, them pronouns. I'm standing here with my Aunt Tammy. We are an organization that serves the trans and non-binary community and prioritizes services for them, life-saving services for our community 365 days a year. At GALE, in addition to producing National Coming Out Day and Pride, we do linkage to care resources that are crucial life-saving services for Two-Spirit community, for Black and brown people as we serve the people that are pushed furthest to the margins in our community. We're located up in Kensington in Philadelphia. This weekend, we have National Coming Out Day. We are celebrating that with a parade, the first ever in America. And we also have a resource festival and fair on Sunday. We decided to coin our event Our Fest, which stands for Our Uniting Resilience Festival, for a few reasons. One, because we know all too often that our stories aren't told and they aren't seen and celebrated. But also, OUR is an acronym. It stands for Our Uniting Resilience. We are a community that, despite our vibrancy and joy that you all often see, is surviving disproportionate homelessness, discrimination, disproportionate economic oppression, legislative attacks on our liberties, disproportionate violence up to and including murder, and all for us daring to be out and proud and to be ourselves. So the work of our community and of our allies is not done. It did not start with recognizing gay marriage, and it certainly did not end with that. It didn't start with TV shows and visibility alone, and it certainly did not end with that either. The support and affirmation of this legislative body is crucial in our stand for justice, liberation, and the freedom of LGBTQ people in the city of Philadelphia and across the nation. It is said that most of us grow up in homes where we are shamed out of our identities, that when we spend our adult lives trying to recapture the liberty that was taken from us when we were children. This citation is so deeply important to us because it recognizes our resilience as LGBTQ people and says loudly that this governing body sees and supports our journeys in this world, starting with the revolutionary act that we as queer, trans, lesbian, gay, and or bisexual people, the power that we take when we come out. It recognizes that story and it celebrates it. I humbly ask for people today in this body, people listening, to look upon others and see the humanity first, and others first and foremost, and to also know and understand that we are all resilient. And finally, that National Coming Out Day is more than just a festival, that is deeply rooted in the celebration of queer and trans joy, survival, and in that, all of that in the face of oppression, discrimination, and austerity that is pushing our communities further to the margins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is El Ali.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, council members. My name is El Ali, first name E-L, last name A-L-I. I'm Cherokee Freedman, Chiricahua, Apache, and Black American. I'm an American Indian activist in the city for about, I'm 48, so probably almost 20 years now. So I would just like to comment briefly on the resolution introduced by Councilman Jones, supported by members of council, celebrating the 13th annual Philly Indigenous Peoples Day. I think this is great and honorable for us to do. We'd love to create more substantive, create more real changes besides just a resolution. Just for an example, when any indigenous person, American Indian or indigenous migrant gets arrested by the police, there's only two categories on the police reports and citations. It's only white and black. So we are putting the categories either to be able to be under white or black. It doesn't really reflective, and you really can't count the data where you don't have the ability to be able to identify who you are. And then it becomes more of a hassle to be able to go through the courts to make those changes, to let them know that you're not white or black and that you're American Indian or indigenous. So those types of changes in housing to be able to help indigenous migrants from Central and South America who come here, who are unfortunately labeled as Hispanic and Latino, but they don't identify as that. So just looking to create more changes in our city with public policy, and also with the departments in the city to really be able to collect the data that we as indigenous peoples need to be able to create the change for our city and to create a healing process for us. Because I feel also too that sometimes we're relegated to just the other, so there's not a lot of concern for us. So I'm hoping to, with this resolution and many others, to create better public policy for our city, for American Indians and indigenous migrants in the city. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next speaker is Vagnella Hilton.
Good morning.
Good morning, esteemed members of council. My name is Wanda Hilton. I'm the director and founder of Native Nations Dance Theater, and we are very happy that you have taken this time out of your day to recognize that we have participated and we have presented Indigenous Day programs in the city of Philadelphia for 13 years now. So we would like to thank you all very much for including us and for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Pauline Songbird Hilton.
J.B. Klein.
Give her the mic. The mic.
Tammy Walking Stick Riley.
Yeah, that's fine. Hold on one second. Hold on a second. Hold on one second. Is that mic functioning? Let's give her the other mic. Good morning.
Morning. I honor the place in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you that is love, light, peace, and truth. When you're in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, then we are one. I ask that the Creator open our minds to understand each other better, to open our eyes so that we can see things more clearly, to open our ears so that we understand the messages that are being sent to us. And I ask you to open our hands to serve the Creator and our communities more. I ask that you keep our feet in the paths that are chosen for us. And I ask you to open our hearts to love each other more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony.
The next speakers are Akeef Staples and Brent Johnstone.
My name is Tammy Walking Stick Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to say thank you to you, President, to Councilman Curtis, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Squilla. I want to thank you for the support that you have given the indigenous community in Philadelphia. My family in the 1970s was a part of an organization called the United American Indians of the Delaware Valley. And then we were part of, and Councilman Gautier, I want to thank you too. I don't know where she went. But I want to just thank you all, everyone in this room, for still acknowledging that we are here. Because there's so often that people find us invisible. I want to thank Elle for the fight. Elle continues to fight. We fight along with him. And I don't mean fight in a negative way. I mean the fight to let people know that we are still here. So I encourage everyone to help our community, to support our community. We are the original people. The land that you stand on now is Lenape-Hoken. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Akeef Staples and Brent Johnstone.
Morning.
My name is Brent Johnstone from Fathers Read 365. And my name is Akeef Staples from Fathers Read 365. We don't have a lot of time, but what we're about to speak about is very passionate to me. And it's not often that I hear it spoken about in public, and that is early literacy. I'm 46 years old and I'm a struggling reader. I've been a struggling reader my whole life. I live with dyslexia. And one of the reasons why I personally jumped in on this mission with Fathers Read 365 to address early literacy, because I didn't find out why I couldn't read until I was failing out of college, drinking a pint of liquor to go to class every morning, trying to deal with something that could have easily been addressed. And all throughout life, I got report cards, and they always say, Brent is struggling with reading. But never once did any of my teachers, did any administrators, did anyone ever come to me and say, Brent, we understand what you're doing, what you're going through, and this is how we can help. Never got that help. And on my dad's dying deathbed, Curtis knows my dad very well, he said, son, make me a promise. And it's the last thing my dad ever said to me. He said, don't you ever stop talking about dyslexia and going out there and helping people. Because after all these years, I finally know what I live with. This man was 72 years old dying and just realizing why he couldn't read. And it was something that could have been addressed. And he was a lieutenant at Temple Police. He was a very successful person. And we all are. And a lot of people are who struggle with reading. I say all that to say, currently, Akeef and I, since May, we have networked over 100 daycare centers in Philadelphia in the Ready First Network. The Ready First Network stands for Read and Empowers All Developing Youth. And we want all our kids to go into first grade on level. And guys, we've partnered with a national screening service who could screen any child at 3 years old for a reading difference. We've partnered with Lexia and Letters who could teach any educator how to properly teach reading to kids at 3 and 5 years old where their brain is most active. We have partnered with a tutoring program who teaches Wilsons, who can in 2 years, they took my son who was in 3rd grade. Because in 3rd grade, guys, 33% of our 3rd graders read on level. That means 67 of them didn't. My son was part of that 67. I had to sue his schools. I had to go to litigation to get my son the proper help that he needed. And he sits here today from being a kindergarten reader in 3rd grade to being one of the top 5th grade readers in his school. Stand up, Mason. Guys, we have networked. We have did all the work that we possibly could do between two people to get all the top people in this nation who want to come to Philadelphia, because no one is working in preschools doing the work that we're doing in this nation. If we as a city come together behind what we've created, we will change the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony.
The next speaker is Brujo de la Mancha.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you. Tlazocamatri Tonansi, Tlazocamatri Tonatiu, and Tlazocamatri Mamehuencinsi. Thanks to the Father, Nature, Son, and thank you, everybody, to be here present. Also maybe you will say buenas tardes, buenas noches, y todo eso, ¿verdad? I come from Mexico, and we have a lot of native population here in Philadelphia for the last 20 years, maybe 25, 30, 40 for some people. And this 13th annual Philadelphia Indigenous Day is very important for the new generations or the new Americans born here from these migrations that has happening from south of the border. So even you are from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Peru, all that, places, people should have the right opportunity to celebrate and come together and meet our brothers and cousins from the whole continent in this city of Philadelphia. So please allow us to have these celebrations, to raise our flag, and also give us a chance to keep our language. We speak Spanish, sí, but it's not our language. Will you speak English? Yes, but most for us sometimes it's not our language too. So this good identity, this good cultural awareness will help in the future to avoid the classic gangs problems or alcohol problem or drug problems, because people will have something to focus, something to come, something to pray, something to feel connected, not be wandering on the streets and so on. So it's very important, please support us for every other year that coming for the new generations. Please don't take this day away. Mark it, make it national, make it aware of Philadelphia is going to keep native traditions alive from anywhere else. Will bring tourists, will bring economy, thanks to the city of Philadelphia for supporting for maybe 15 years different powwows, different celebrations that we have in gathering and everything, to all the council people, to all the foundations in Philadelphia, to everything. We have to come together and make respect the first nations of this continent living in Philadelphia. I don't know exactly how many indigenous people from Mexico you have here because the problem of immigration, and we know that maybe these people could have a different ID, different way to be treated because they're part of this continent. They are mestizos, they're mixed, they have different nationalities in themselves, but some people, they are not. You have a lot of indigenous people that are trapped, and this immigration problem can change thanks to the city to be a sanctuary city and allow everybody from south of the border to be here. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Brujo de la Mancha. My native name is Tlechayalcoa, translate as the snake with the face on fire. And you all be happy. You all keep growing and working together for this great and beautiful city, the brotherly love of Philadelphia. Tlazocamatli, thank you with my heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next speaker is Lynn Landis, commenting on 210913.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Landis, founder of wildfoodies.org. I'm speaking in support of Resolution 210913, which is a resolution to sue the city administration for failure to enforce the Healthy Outdoor Public Spaces Act, which will end the use of toxic pesticides on public lands. Why is this so important? Because we need to be able to use our public lands to grow both wild plants and cultivated crops for food, fiber, medicine, and more, particularly in the case of natural or man-made emergencies. For instance, Washington Square is full of plantain or plantago, a common weed. But plantain is also nature's medicine cabinet because it can be used to heal the body in so many ways. It grows there in Washington Square because toxic chemicals are not used. But they are used in other public lands in Philadelphia. Do residents know that they are exposing themselves, their children, and their pets to toxic chemicals? I doubt it. The point is that we need safe and healthy soil. And speaking of safety, we also need our streets to be safe. As the founder of SafeStreetsPhilly.org, I believe city council members are rightly concerned about the lawlessness gripping our city. However, our district attorney, who gave the green light to this rampant crime, continues unchecked. Council members have suggested, among other things, more mentoring of the young is what's needed. And that is certainly true. But those who are looting our stores on a daily basis are often not young at all. They are simply taking advantage of the situation. As a result, retail and food deserts are reoccurring, the very problem that underserved communities complained about for decades. It's time to learn from history and address the elephants in the room. A city administration and district attorney and their non-enforcement of local and state laws. Because maintaining a safe and healthy city is our government's most important job. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Wick Savage, commenting on 230661.
Good morning.
Good morning, council. Good morning, council members. I'm here this morning with a heavy, heavy heart. I'm here to express that we have to get all hands on deck and address this unnecessary bad behavior. My kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids do not conduct bad behavior. Why? Because they know their grandfather will not allow it. My grandson, that's 7 years old, had to go through drama this Sunday because his place that he plays football had to deal with gunfire. There's over 200 kids that play at that field at 11th and Cecil B. Moore. It brings warmth to my heart to see that many kids come together. But a few jackrabbits want to act out. And just like Councilman Squilla was able to track down that bad behavior in Center City, we should be able to track down this bad behavior in our various communities. Not next week, not next month, not when the new administration gets in, right now. I am a concerned citizen that has relatives, own property, and probably 50% of this council body. My voice will be heard, and my wallet will be used. Let's get all hands on deck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
There are no other speakers today, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our public comment session for today. We will now move to our calendar. We will consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar today. Mr. Decker, I would ask you to please read the title of resolution number 230656.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 4817 Old York Road located in the 8th Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230661.
A resolution urging Governor Josh Shapiro to establish an Office of Gun Violence Prevention in Pennsylvania.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson for a motion.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution honoring Science Leadership Academy at Bieber 10th grader Zoe Smith for winning the individual Women's Public League Golf Championship. Introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
On behalf of an avid golfer from West Philly, I move for the swift adoption.
It's been moved and swiftly adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring war hero Waverly Bernard Woodson Jr. for his courageous and selfless service during World War II, and further calling on Overbrook High School to induct him into their Hall of Fame. Introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, how many scores, how many dozens, how many thousands of unnamed heroes that would have been memorialized in our hallways of schools, in our hallways in museums, but for the fact that they were African American. And that at that point in time, it was so uncommon and so unaccepted for their acts of heroism to be acknowledged by their peers, by our nation, and by people in general. This is one case. And we want to kind of look for those unsung heroes. Remember Kathy Gilmore Richardson talking about her uncle, I believe it was, who suffered that fate. And there are tens of thousands of people like that. I remember at a eulogy for my great-grandfather in South Philly. And as kids, we always used to go down his basement, and he had a saber. And reckless as we were, we would be playing with his saber, trying to chop each other up. So in my mind, I always thought he was the cook for the cavalry. I thought he was the guy who went and made kind of moves for the higher-ups and generals. Come to find out, he was a rough rider. And he went up that hill with Teddy Roosevelt, and he was no joke. How many dozens, thousands in each conflict before, it kind of was leveled out are a part of history, but not a part of our history. So with that, I move for the adoption.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and commemorating the 13th Annual Indigenous Peoples Day in the City of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's not many parts of the city, from Passyunk to Manatona to different places around the city that don't have a touch, Belmont Plateau, of what indigenous history means to us. Manayunk actually means, in Native American language, a good place to drink. Think about it. They knew what they were talking about. And so we want to look at this and make sure we understand and respect the fact that these indigenous people were here first. These indigenous people have a robust history, and for that, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing City Council's Committee on Transportation and Public Utility to hold public hearings to investigate the impact of SEPTA's Market Frankfurt Line painting project is having on surrounding communities and determine whether SEPTA has been responsive to community complaints during the course of this project and explore SEPTA's commitment to contracting minority-owned businesses for its projects. Introduced today by Councilman Johnson on behalf of Council President Clark.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia and honoring those who have fought and continue to fight against breast cancer, introduced today by Councilman Johnson.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Dr. Daphne Owen, MD, for her ability to bridge relationships for the common good and her humanitarian efforts in bringing top-notch medical service to the people, all with a powerfully inspiring dream of doing better by our most vulnerable communities. Introduced today by Councilwoman Lozada.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed.
Read in here well.
I'm sorry, Councilman.
Is that the Irizarry resolution? I didn't hear.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah. You want to?
I wanted to actually put that bill on hold. Is that
You
possible?
want to hold?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Oh, that was nice. Which one is that one? I'm sorry. Hear what he has said, so I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It's moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Joan N. Stern, one of Philadelphia's finest public finance attorneys, concentrating her practice in the areas of general government and education, transportation and utilities, tax and revenue anticipation financing, healthcare and housing finance, refinancing and working capital finance, project finance, and derivatives transactions. Introduced today by Councilwoman Lozada.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Roberto Lugo for his contributions to the arts and in celebration of his exceptional achievement in securing a prestigious Heinz Awards for Arts. Introduced today by Councilwoman Lozada.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Dr. Stephen Larson, MD, for his humanitarian efforts in bringing top-notch medical service to underserved communities, bringing a dream of care and compassion into the world that moves forward with every life saved. Introduced today by Councilwoman Lozada.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating the champions of the week, Akeef Staples and Brent Johnstone of Fathers Read 365 for their service and dedication to our local communities by expanding literacy and access to quality books for young people. Introduced today by Councilwoman Brooks on behalf of Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. I just have a few remarks. I'm going to start with my own first. I just want to honor these two men that I met way before even thinking about being a city council person for their work and commitment around literacy and educating our young people. Akeef and I know each other from a kindergarten program at his son's school, and Brent and I met shortly after, I think it was another men's group led by Eric Marsh, how we connected. So I want to just thank and honor them for the work that they've been doing, and thank you for the commitment to our community. And Councilmember Thomas left me some remarks here as well that I need to follow up on. So he says, the former Temple University basketball players with 2 decades of experience serving their community as social workers and youth advocates founded a youth literacy nonprofit, Fathers Read 365, to boost literacy in young children in response to an overwhelming need to increase reading skills for children aged 0 to 6 in Philadelphia neighborhoods. Black male educators make up only 2% of educators, so they play a crucial role in expanding representation in our school systems. In addition, they connect young adults to read to kids and provide them with role models. And to date, the pair have donated 170,000 books to Philadelphia's youth. So these men have done an amazing job, and I just want to congratulate them. And with that, I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Council saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, Council President, I too want to take a moment to acknowledge these two young men for their advocacy, particularly around reading and literacy. And I had a chance to learn about the program at the Father's Day Rally Committee banquet. And his brother gave a presentation about the work that he was doing. It's my first time hearing about the program, and again, it reminds me about how we have to take a comprehensive approach when it comes to addressing the issue of youth gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia. There has been studies that shows that prisons are built based upon the third grade reading levels of our young people, right? And so when you talk about getting young people on the path to success, it starts with them learning how to read, learning how to write. When we talk about classroom behavior, some of the outbursts that you see from young people may be based upon them not knowing how to read. And so they find other ways, right, to express themselves in the classroom so they don't feel embarrassed. And so I just want to thank the two of you for your hard work and your dedication. Continue to keep up the work. I heard you loud and clear saying the city of Philadelphia should be supporting our efforts with resources to make sure we're able to expand. And so hopefully you have that relationship with Councilman Thomas, and we all will support his efforts that hopefully you can continue expanding the program that you're doing. But thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, Councilman.
And a resolution commemorating National Coming Out Day on October 11th, 2023 in the city of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilwoman Brooks.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. Today, I introduce a resolution in honor of every Philadelphian who exists outside the strict binary of gender and sexuality that our society imposes. In honor of all of our friends and loved ones who have already come out, as well as those who have not. In honor of the people who have risked violence and discrimination in order to come out, as well as those who have come out in the midst of joy and celebration. National Coming Out Month is an opportunity for us all to strengthen our community and support each other in sharing the truth of our experiences and our identities. It is not a day to pressure anyone to come out or to shame those who have not yet come out. It's a day to celebrate the beauty of being true to yourself and having the courage to share your experience and supporting others who may choose to come out to you. It is also a day to acknowledge the difficulties many face in coming out and to recognize that many people are still not able to safely come out. And as of August, there are more than 580 anti-queer bills that have been introduced at a state legislators. Of these 580, over 80 have been signed into law in this year alone. This is more than doubles last year's number, which is already at the worst in years on record. By celebrating National Coming Out Day, the city of Philadelphia stands proudly with our queer community against legislative attacks, hate, and violence. And we commend the strength and courage and resilience of our queer community and affirm their right to justice and safety in our city and throughout our country. From October 6th through 8th, Philadelphia celebrates National Coming Out Day with Our Fest, the National Coming Out Parade and Festival Resource Fair, in the first National Coming Out Parade in the United States. And I want to thank Philly Pride 365, Galay, Terrell Brown, and all those that will make Our Fest a joyous, supportive, and powerful event that I know it will be. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Council President, and I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution adopted. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. I must depart council for important council business, but prior to that departure, I wanted to recognize and welcome my sisters of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated to the city of Philadelphia for our biennial conference, which is being held at the Sheraton October 4th through October 8th. Councilmember Bass and I had the opportunity to represent the city at the opening ceremony last evening, and I wanted to give them a hearty welcome to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly effectiveness. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The record shall reflect your votes. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Before Kathy Gilmore Richardson leaves or Cindy Bass leaves, I want to echo their recognition of the coalition and encourage the brothers to keep up with them. If you've ever had the opportunity to attend their workshops, they are far in advance on sophisticated items that impact women of color. And I stand in awe of some of their organizational skills, some of their ability to enact policy in a positive way, and welcome them to the city of brotherly love and sisterly effectiveness, and welcome them for their national conference.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
And a resolution proclaiming September 16, 2023 as Masha Amini Day in the city of Philadelphia to commemorate and recognize the one-year anniversary of her death in custody after being detained by Iranian morality police. Introduced today by Councilman Harity.
Chair recognizes Councilman Harity.
Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution designating the week of Sunday, October 8 through Saturday, October 14, 2023 as Italian American Heritage Week in the city of Philadelphia, and honoring Gaetano Guy Pigliatelli and Jerry Blavitt posthumously as the Grand Marshals of the 2023 Philadelphia Italian American Parade. Introduced today by Councilman Squilla.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to acknowledge the parade is Sunday, starting off with Broad and Snyder at 12 o'clock. We'll be on TV. Channel 6 will be covering it from 12:30 to 2. And then there will be an Italian festival right at Marconi Plaza where the parade ends up until 6 p.m. So we welcome everybody to come out, enjoy the festivities and celebration, and have a great day. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our calendar for today. At this point, are there any speeches on behalf of the minority? Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a brief moment to thank my colleagues, those who came out to the Crime Summit at St. Joe's University last Saturday. For those who did not come, but yet their work spoke for them, thank you again. For those who submitted positive recommendations in the chat, thank you for those recommendations. But it is a work in progress. It is historic in nature. I've never seen over 150 advocates, from boots on the ground to members of the Chamber of Commerce, credible messengers, to people from behind the walls, juveniles from JJC, talking to each other in a proactive verb, meaning, here's my suggestion. Here's what we can do. You took us on a number of field trips to other municipalities. And the one thing that we drew from Chester or Trenton was that the individuals that are responsible, the stakeholders, could sit in a room, breathe the same air, point at a solution as opposed to pointing at each other. And that was the spirit of the conference. Next steps, St. Joe's University will be putting together what is called a white paper, and it will be formatted to identify the problem, the solution, and the next steps, whether it's budgetary, legislative, or policy. That will be presented to the 100th mayor. It will be presented first to members of this body for your edit. So everything from the Kensington Marshall Plan to conflict resolution in schools to gun violence task force that we've created, all will be fused into a document that will be presented to the mayor. And thank you for that Chief Safety Officer charter change, because they will have this as a ruling guide to move this city forward. What happened over the weekend, 2 weeks ago, what happened with a bike rider that I know, I thought he was squirrely, I swear. I thought you was gonna run him, I thought you were gonna run him down yourself. Jumping on a car it was on national news. And so when people start to view Philadelphia as a place they might want to visit, might want to work, might want to send their kid to go to school, there is a caution that is doing this city a disservice. Now, I'm of the opinion, like my colleagues, I want the right hand of fellowship. I want to help young people that want to do right. But I got the left hand of punishment. That if you act like you want to go to jail, we're going to help you along your merry way. And so we have got to have difficult conversations, Ketsy, difficult conversations about things that might seem on its surface a bit insensitive. But if we don't look ourselves soberly in the city mirror, King of Prussia is going to eat our lunch. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Very impressive event, great turnout. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. We heard a lot of things happening this week, but one of the other things that we didn't mention is through October 2nd through the 6th, we're proud to recognize the National Digital Inclusion Week. It's a great time to raise awareness of the solutions available to help bridge the digital divide and bring high-speed internet to homes in Philadelphia. As COVID came through, it made it abundantly clear how the vital goals for our children's future are needed. The PHL Connected program was instrumental in keeping kids in school by providing access to classrooms when they suddenly went virtual. This program stood up quickly thanks to our partners in the Office of Innovation and Technology and Administration, the school district, and our colleagues right here in City Council. The results were astounding. PHL Connected enabled more than 23,000 free internet connections for families over 3 years. That's 23,000 free internet connections for people who didn't have them. But we know that's not enough. The worst of the pandemic is hopefully behind us, but PHL Connected is now focusing on getting the word out about the Affordable Connectivity Program, or ACP, a federal program. Through ACP, Philadelphians who are eligible can receive $30 monthly credits to pay for broadband internet. We combine them with low-cost options. Monthly internet subscriptions may be almost of no cost to some families. OIT is supporting the ACP program by bringing general awareness to the benefits every Philadelphia household has with or without school-age children. Philadelphia households can visit GEP, get ACP. They can also dial 211 to schedule an ACP appointment with Digital Navigator or visit the free library location and ask for information about Affordable Connectivity Program. We understand that even though there's a lot of challenges out there, we can work with our partners to make this a reality for everybody here in the city. Our internet service provider partners, including Comcast, some of the partners we have in Philadelphia, Digital Navigator, include Beyond Literacy, Drexel, Excite Center, Esperanza, CMAC, and others. We need to continue working together with the children and families, adult education, and the free library, Philadelphia, to provide digital skills classes around the city. The answer to the call to get Philadelphia connected, and while the work continues, I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for this incredible effort, and thank you, and looking forward to be able to provide internet access to all Philadelphians throughout the city of Philadelphia. And one last thing, PHL Council briefing for PhillyCam is right after council. There will be lunch provided for staffers and colleagues who want to attend right in the caucus room following council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to take a moment to commend Majority Leader Jones on his Crime Summit event this past weekend. It was, a great turnout with all of the people in the room, from city leaders to community leaders to young people that we would need to make a dent on these issues. The conversations were meaningful and solution-oriented, and I look forward to seeing the blueprint, and I look forward to being a part of the implementation. And job well done, and thank you for your leadership. I also wanted to ask that we take a moment of silence for Josh Kruger, who was tragically and brutally murdered a few days ago. I didn't know Josh very well, but we were friendly. He was such a great person. He was someone who was supportive of me and my work in council. He was someone who was a public servant here at the City of Philadelphia for many years. And as a journalist and a thought leader, was also a voice for some of the most vulnerable people in the city, including those experiencing homelessness, the LGBTQ community, and people dealing with substance use addiction. And it's just such a loss for our city. And a loss for his family as well. He also lost a brother not too long ago, and so it's just a horrible thing to happen to his family. And I just wanted to know if we could take a moment of silence to recognize such a great person who was taken away from us.
We please have a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Harity.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues, for voting on my resolution to remember the murder of 22-year-old Moshe Amini on September 16, 2022. I originally wanted to do it on the anniversary for a couple weeks ago, but we didn't have the text written up. The Iran by the government officials sparked outrage around the world. Moshe Amini was killed in violation of her human rights. Her death has triggered a new wave of demands for human rights and dignity for women around the world. People, and especially women, should not have to face death for mere violations of morality. And it is our hope that by remembering Moshe, that we do not let other people fall prey to government-sanctioned violence. Coming from the city of Philadelphia, the birthplace of democracy, the birthplace of freedom, I believe that we have to stand up for civil rights, for human rights violations, no matter where they occur. And I hope just by remembering this poor young lady, who we will never know the great things that she was bound to do because of something senseless, that we just keep her in our prayers and her family in our prayers, and that we do not forget, because if you forget, it will happen again. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. I want to also echo thanks to Council Member Curtis Jones for organizing the Crime Summit. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there because I was hosting several events in our district, but I applaud the efforts and we look forward to helping to create even more solutions for our city. I simply just wanted to note that John White Jr., who is I want to say a person who is a benefactor of the Black Political Forum that was founded by his father, John White Sr., and where men like him and David Richardson, the list goes on, really came into public office with the mindset of finding a way to get through bureaucracy and make changes in the city of Philadelphia. His street renaming is still happening this Saturday. We're going to do it rain or shine. If there is a change in location based off of heavy rain, we'll let you know. Follow me on social media at Phillips DIST9, Phillips DIST9, and you'll get an announcement, or you can email at anthony.phillips@phila.gov. I just want to let you know that we're having it 11:30 in the morning, 1400 block of Vernon Road. All of Philadelphia is invited. It's going to be an amazing event, and we want to make sure that John knows that he's loved and cared about, and give him the flowers while he's here. So looking forward to seeing all the colleagues this Saturday, October 7th.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
Council President, every year there are men, women, and children who are trafficked. And so we are holding a committee hearing on children and youth October the 10th at E9 Baptist Tabernacle Church on 2800 West Cheltenham Avenue. I'd like to invite everyone to participate. Part of what we heard, or part of what I heard when I participated in Councilman Jones' Crime Safety Summit, was that children oftentimes communicate with each other through social media. and they don't know who they are really talking to. And that is who these traffickers often prey, and how they prey on children in marginalized or vulnerable communities. And so I asked you all to participate, be a part of the conversation, and help us come to solutions around how we educate our kids about the dangers of human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to highlight that the Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 11th at 1 o'clock in a remote manner using Microsoft Teams. The remote hearing is regarding examining the impacts of and funding alternatives for an extension of the existing Broad Street subway line into the underserved Northeast along the Roosevelt Boulevard. So that hearing will be Wednesday, October 11th at 1 p.m. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. It will be a very interesting discussion. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I want to also echo the sentiments of my colleague, Councilman Jamie Gardier, acknowledging the life of Josh Kruger, who was an award-winning journalist, a strong advocate for those who are homeless, as well as a strong advocate in the LGBTQ community, but also a member of the Point Breeze community. And so we were out and about yesterday on his block, talking to neighbors, addressing the issue of trauma, because anyone that lives on a block, you wake up in the morning and find out somebody was murdered, there's levels of trauma that the neighbors are feeling in the neighborhood. And so I wanted to take a moment to echo sentiments regarding his life and legacy. And also, throughout this week and just doing my due diligence and doing work and talking to different business leaders around the state of our city, and we talked about how, you know, in order for us to recruit businesses to come into our city to expand our tax base, we need a city that's cleaner, safer, and competent in terms of how government operates. And then the discussion talked about how nationally we're going viral for all the wrong reasons, right? Getting phone calls from people from other parts of the country reaching out to us, making sure we're safe when they see people looting and wreaking havoc in Center City. But also this recent incident that took place this weekend where a bunch of ATV riders surrounded a young lady. One young man jumped on back of her car, break her back window out. She got babies in the car. He drops the gun, then points the gun at her face, which is totally unacceptable. And so I thank my colleague, Councilman Curtis Jones, for hosting the Crime Summit to begin looking at that issue with comprehensive solutions as we go into a new administration addressing the issue. And on the issue of ATVs and illegal dirt bikes, I'm going to be organizing an intergovernmental task force to begin looking at we looking at all the ways that we can address this issue. This isn't the first time we had to address illegal dirt bikes here in the city of Philadelphia. Councilman Curtis Jones actually took a bunch of young men to the woods over in Jersey on a four-wheeler and ATV to try to show them alternatives to driving down the street, right? But there's legislation that has been introduced on a state level that we're entertaining, and I spoke to Commissioner John Stanford yesterday and try to get a more understanding of what are we doing, what aren't we doing, and how can we get a handle on this particular issue. Obviously, it's illegal to ride dirt bikes in the city of Philadelphia, so that's a non-starter, right? And at the same time, I'm not a big fan of mass incarceration, but there has to be a level of accountability, right? So we need to make sure we're doing everything we can possible, rather than supporting more police officers on the street, again, exploring alternatives to young men who don't want to ride in the street. But at the end of the day, what took place, see the quality of life issue, I'm like, okay, a lot of noise, right? They wreaking havoc in terms of you driving down the street. And I was surrounded yesterday. And so I kind of like perked up because I'm like, I don't want to bump nobody while I'm driving, and then I got to go through. I'm serious. I'm like, because these days you can't really argue with somebody when you get out the car like back in the day, right? So I know how to slow down, let them go ahead of me. But when I watched that young lady, right, go back and forth with this young man, the coward, I'm going to call it, right? And see me if you want to see me, but coward, right? Jump in her face, put a gun in her face, right? And she didn't back down, right? She didn't back down, right? But I had no idea it was children inside the car, right? And so all the chumps that was sitting there watching it go down with another young lady arguing with a young man, right, was totally despicable and unacceptable. And so we're going to bring together some stakeholders, district attorney, police commissioner, his team, right, some state legislators to begin looking at, again, are we doing everything possible? From my understanding, when they take some of the bikes, there's like some law where they have to figure out a way to get the bikes back to folks. Well, if that's the case, how do we close that loophole, right? Are we immediately destroying the bikes, right? And so at least we have a better understanding as we move forward how we're addressing that issue from a quality of life standpoint, because we're never going to build our city if folks don't want to come here. And the level of the reputation that we're having virally on a national level, well, if I was a Fortune 500 company, I might think twice about coming here because you know why? One, I got to make sure my employees are safe. Two, the families that will move here to actually work in our city, they want to make sure they go into a neighborhood that's safe, got good schools, and that's clean. So thank you, Council President, and more information will be available as we move forward around illegal task force around ATVs, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. So, Councilman, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to the attention today. Last Friday, Public Safety Committee had a hearing on drone usage, and you said two things in your speech. One was the national attention to what's been going on in the city of Philadelphia, and two, this whole issue around ATVs. And actually, last Friday, it was somewhat, concerning. We actually had the city of Hartford. It was supposed to be scheduled to come to talk about their drone use programs as it relates to ATVs, which I'm told is one of the most successful in the city. And we literally got a call at the last minute saying there's some concern about coming to Philadelphia because they saw the looting and all of the drama that was going on across the city. And unfortunately, that's what people see on the national news, CNN, MSNBC, and they canceled the trip. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe this. So I'm sure that, we need to follow up because when I'm told, they have a really, really good program. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Vaughn.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to mention that just as we had bad children creating havoc in the city of Philadelphia, we also have some good. A City of Philadelphia staff member, Stephanie Graham, who works for the Register of Wills office, her son owns the cafe called The Wiz at 3622 North 17th Street here in Philadelphia. And he reached out to the young lady whose car was damaged and paid to have the window replaced. So, we need to support people like him, go get an egg sandwich from his restaurant or something like that, just so that he can continue to do the positive work that he saw fit to do to help that family. Thank you. The address again is 3622 North 17th Street.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. That concludes the speeches on behalf of the minority and the majority. And with that, the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the council stand adjourned until Thursday, October 12th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. The council stand adjourned until Thursday, October 12th, 2023. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you all very much.